I should warn you, if you just ate before starting this video, you may want to wait about 30 minutes or so before watching the rest. Nazenara nakamatachi. It's time to go swimming. Konnichiwa, minasan. Watashi no na wa Gemini desu. You know, I don't really know why, but if there's one thing I absolutely love in video games, it's a good underwater level. I mean, when done properly, an underwater area can turn out to be absolutely beautiful in its design, no matter what the game. You know, I think of areas like Rapture in the BioShock series, Manan in Knights of the Old Republic. Heck, some of the underwater levels in the original Donkey Kong Country games were not without their charms. Even when I'm on Minecraft, more often than not, I will take the opportunity to build something underwater. So when I came across Aquaria, an indie adventure game set in a huge ocean world, and which had Metroidvania as one of its tags on Steam, I got excited. But of course, not all underwater levels are great, and the last time I played a game on this show, which was tagged by Steam as Metroidvania, I got burned. So how will this one turn out? Time to dive in, minasan. Kyou no game, start!
よし、皆さん、Aquaria へようこそ。Let's start with some background, shall we?
Aquaria was developed by a small company called REUPLOAD, and when I say small, I mean only made up of two people. Alec Holowka, whose name I'm fairly sure I just butchered, and Derek Yu. Now each man has a number of games to their credit that they developed with other people, but as far as their work together as REUPLOAD is concerned, Aquaria is their only game thus far, and this is according to both Steam and REUPLOAD's website. The game is available on a multitude of PC platforms as well as iOS.
In Aquaria, you play as Naija, an aquatic being with no memory of her past, who must journey through the massive watery world of Aquaria to uncover its history and find her answers. The game is played entirely with the mouse, though you can supposedly use the keyboard or a controller as well. Here's the thing though, I tried plugging in my controller and it didn't work. There is a launcher, which has an option to enable controller support, but the only reason I know that is because when I double-clicked the game icon to resume my play session one time, instead of starting the game like normal, this launcher just randomly appeared. But that was only one random occurrence, and I haven't been able to make it happen again since. As far as the keyboard is concerned, most of the keys do what you would expect them to do. W, A, S, and D and the arrow keys move you, escape brings up the menu, and so forth. Left shift is supposed to let you look around the screen without moving, as indicated by a tooltip early in the game which says that either the middle mouse button or left shift can be used to do so. The middle mouse button lets you look just fine, however, neither shift key does anything when pressed. Later on, I looked at the key bindings and found that, by default, neither of the shift keys appear to be bound to any function in the game, let alone looking. Suffice to say, it's better to just stick with the mouse in this game. Speaking of mouse controls, you move Nyjah by clicking and holding the left mouse button to swim. She'll swim in the direction of your cursor, and how fast she swims depends on how far away the cursor is. You can also give her a boost start by clicking far away from her. Right-clicking allows you to interact with the world in various ways, the default of which is singing. By just singing a single note, you can open plants that are the same color as that note, which will give you an item. As you progress through the game, you'll learn various songs, giving this game just a hint of Ocarina of Time on top of its Metroidvania influence. These songs have different effects on Nyjah, like shielding her, allowing her to move objects, or giving her different forms. Now, the forms I've unlocked so far are the energy form, which gives Nyjah more offensive capabilities, and the fish form, which allows her to traverse through tiny passageways, and supposedly lets you go unnoticed by enemy creatures, but I haven't really put that to the test too much. The game has other features as well, such as treasures you can find throughout the world, which will be added to Nyjah's home, and a cooking system where you can put 2 ingredients together, or 3 if you happen to be at a kitchen, and craft various items. Now let's talk about the game's overall feel for a moment, shall we? At the top of the show, I told you that I love a good underwater area and made mention of some of my favorites from different games. I'll add another one to that list. Aquaria is one of the most gorgeous places I've ever been to in my travels across the video game universe. I love that the designers have managed to give you the feel of being alone, deep in a vast underwater world, without resorting to everything being dark and murky and gloomy. I got lost plenty of times while exploring Aquaria, but I was never afraid to look and see what's down that passageway or what's behind this door. Aquaria is not a scary game at all. The music does an excellent job of complementing the feel of traversing the aquatic world. For the most part, it's a beautiful mix of harps, pianos, and various accompaniments that sounds serene and tranquil. It even manages to keep that feeling somehow when it gets more intense for boss fights. It would actually be nice if there were an option in the game where you could do nothing but listen to the music. Mate. There is? Combat in the game can be challenging. In her base form, Nyjah has little to no combat capabilities, being limited to, say, reflecting projectiles with her shield song, or maybe using the bind song to drop a rock onto creatures. Once you gain access to the energy form, you'll have the ability to fire energy projectiles at enemies, or you can unleash multiple projectiles at once by holding down the right mouse button to charge, but this leaves you open to attack, so you're more often than not having to hold both the left and right mouse buttons to swim and charge. You have to be careful doing that, however, as clicking the left and right mouse buttons simultaneously when the cursor is on Nyjah reverts her to her base form. Now at this point, it's a little difficult for me to talk about boss difficulty, as I've played the game for about 3 hours or so thus far, and I've only encountered one boss. And while I did die a couple of times trying to fight him, that was mostly from stupid mistakes while trying to figure out how to kill him. He wasn't too terribly challenging, but he was, after all, the first boss, and I'm sure they'll get more challenging as I progress through the game. The game also comes with a level editor, as well as a tutorial for said editor, and a sort of a test map. Naze. From what I could tell, Aquaria has no multiplayer functionality, no way to save or share any levels you create, or import any levels other people have created. The only person that would be able to play these edited levels is you, and what's the point when you already know how to beat it because you made it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing something. I mean, it's always possible, but the addition of the level editor here just leaves me a little bit confused. Yes, Aquaria has its minor flaws here and there. Every game will, nothing's perfect. But they're just that. Minor. I suppose my final judgment on any game that I've tried, be it for this show or my own personal experience, has to come down to this. Would I continue to play that game? In Aquaria's case, the answer is an emphatic hell yes. The story has me intrigued, the mechanics are simple, and on top of that, kono sekai wa zettai ni utsukushii. game is available for $10 on Windows, Mac, and Linux, or $5 on iOS, and it is absolutely worth your time. Go get it now. Well, that's about it for another show, minasan. If you played this game yourself, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And if you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button and consider sharing it with everybody. Also, if you haven't seen any previous episodes of Low Budget Gaming, I'd like to invite you to check those out as well. And to stay up to date on future episodes, don't forget to subscribe to Gemini Does Games and like and follow the channel on Facebook and Twitter. 次回まで。私の名はジェミナイです。ありがとうございました。さようなら。